Parker Town Council for May 1st, 2023 at 7 p.m. All council members are present with the exception of Councilmember Hefta. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up on our agenda is public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for town residents and other interested individuals to speak about items that are not on the agenda. This comment period is limited to the first 30 minutes of the meeting, and if there's any overflow, we'll take that up at the end of the meeting. I don't see any people signed up for public comment tonight. Nope. And is there anyone in the audience wishing to make a public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports, items, and comments from mayor and council. I will start to my left, Councilmember Wilkes.
Yeah, so on April 20th, I attended the Parker Police Civic Academy, and it was the Canine Night, so I got to meet our two canine units. So Cato and Rico are the dogs, and they are phenomenal, and I literally had the best time ever, so that was good, and learning just more about our canine units and what they do for our town. And then on the 24th, I attended the Douglas County Housing Partnership Board meeting where we discussed affordable housing in Ridgegate and in Castle Rock, and that was just really good to see what other municipalities are doing for affordable housing. And then on April 28th, the Douglas County Youth Initiative, I went to Chaparral to talk to them. Actually ended up having an evacuation drill, so we presented on the tennis courts along with Commissioner Abe Layden, and it was just wonderful to engage with the students and get their feedback on things that they want to see in their town and things that they were curious about.
Excellent. Councilmember Dyak.
Thank you very much. I had a DRCOG board meeting on the 19th. We discussed the EPA Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. That was offered to City and County of Denver. City and County of Denver offered it to DRCOG to coordinate. It looks like they'll be getting $1 million to create a plan. Hopefully the plan will yield some potential projects to be advanced to the competitive phase 2 of $4.6 billion being made available from our federal government. We also talked about state legislation. I sent the council and mayor a synopsis of our two board meetings in the email this morning, so hopefully you received that for further detail. On the 20th, I had an E470 Finance Committee meeting where we reviewed the audit results. E470 had a clean audit, so that's good. We talked about debt refinancing here in 2024. There will be 2 tranches of debt that will be considered for what to do. Do you refinance, retire, or do you keep it going? There's a $50 million tranche and a $138 million tranche. So the early stages of that. We also had a first quarter update in terms of traffic. Traffic is stabilizing. It looks like we're at about 97% of revenue based on projections. But the challenge is the continuing high costs of the expenses, which are the result of inflation. We have 2 capital expenditure projects, or 2 capital projects at E470, and very challenging to cut costs there when you have contracts that have been locked in. Other than that, that is all.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No updates.
All right, Councilmember Barrington.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Great. And Councilmember Rivero.
Nothing really to import. We, as council and the mayor, interviewed 3 great, incredible applicants for the municipal judge this week. Absolutely outstanding, and made a decision and to be named shortly. So very, very excited about that. Thank you.
Great. And I just want to note, in addition to all these activities, that Councilmember and Mayor Pro Tem Dyak and I attended the Paris Spaghetti opening. I think this is important, Council, because we now have 3 French bakeries in Parker. So I think we're getting kind of our reputation as being kind of an upper crust, no pun intended, place. So I've worked on that joke all weekend, by the way. All right. Hashtag recall. All right, next up is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of consent agenda items unless council votes to remove an item for individual discussion. Ordinances on the consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for discussion. So council, before you have consent agenda items A through L for your consideration.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items A through L. And I'd like to point out that item L is a proclamation recognizing Municipal Clerks Week, April 30th through May 6th, 2023. We thank the work they do.
Second.
Motion is made by Rivera, second by Hendricks. Rivera?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hefta is absent, and that passes 5-0. Next up is our public hearings. Let's see, public hearing A, Pope property annexation. There has been a request to continue this to a date certain of July 17th, 2023. Madam Town Attorney, anything to add on that?
Can you read in the name of the ordinance?
I will.
Or I can if.
Yep, so ordinance number 2.282 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance approving and accomplishing the annexation of contiguous unincorporated territory known as the Pope property in Douglas County.
Mr. Mayor, I move to continue item 5A to a date certain of July 17th, 2023, please.
Just for the record, if I can specify that we're continuing the public hearing to consider that ordinance number 2.282 to that date certain.
Amend my motion to recognize we are continuing the public hearing to a date certain of July 17th, 2023 for ordinance 2.282, please.
Second.
Motion is made by Rivera, seconded by Wilkes. Rivera?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilkes?
Aye.
And that passes 5-0. Next up on our public hearing is a fun one. Tax and Fee Assistance Program Agreement for Chicken and Pickle.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have received an TAP, Tax and Fee Assistance Program application from Chicken and Pickle. I'm just going to go over some background about Chicken and Pickle.
Yep, and Weldy, just for the record, that hearing was opened at 7:06 p.m.
Okay, sorry.
I see them all going. over there.
I know, I could hear the whispering. I was like, what did I do? So Chicken and Pickle is under a letter of intent with the Life Church property, so that would be the southeast corner of Jordan and Parker House Road. They are an indoor-outdoor, family-friendly entertainment complex, including, this is written by them, casual, chef-driven restaurant and sports bar that boasts pickleball courts and a variety of yard games. They started this concept in Kansas City in 2016 and have since expanded into Texas, other areas of Kansas, Oklahoma, and now Henderson, Nevada, Indiana, and now they are coming to Colorado. The Parker location is going to be approximately a 10,000 square foot restaurant, 4,000 square foot rooftop patio, and everybody's favorite, the 17,000 square feet of pickleball courts. They are estimating to employ about 160 to 200 individuals with an annual payroll around $2.7 million. Site plan has not been submitted for this yet. That will come shortly and will be coordinated with the Life Church larger development so that there can be a shared parking agreement. They have indicated they would like to announce this location pending tonight's outcome. They have earlier, a couple weeks ago, did announce a location in Thornton. So there are criteria that are in the, let me read it so Kristen doesn't get mad, 4.02 of the code that have to be utilized to approve or deny this. So there are 4 criteria. The first one being that the amount of enhanced sales tax which are reasonably to be anticipated to be derived by the town through the retained expanded new retail sales tax generating business. This would be a new business coming to Parker, so that does follow in that criteria. The second is public benefits. There are several listed in the code that define what can be utilized for public benefits. The one that meets this project is the contribution to the diversity of retail or the diversity of jobs or employment opportunities within the town. This is like nothing we have in town, so this would be diversifying that retail and jobs. The conformance of the applicant's property or project with the compliance of planning and zoning where they are planning and going complies with all of our planning and zoning, and then the TAP agreement is required to be, fit all the sections within the code, and I know Kristen made sure that was taken care of. So the criteria for approval is why we're bringing this forward. It meets everything. The financial projections and the tax and fee share back itself, the annual sales projections are estimated to be $12 million year one to $14 million for year two. The overall development costs are going to be about $22 million coming in new construction into Parker. And after the 5 years, that anticipated revenues would be about $35 million. Per the town code, we cannot share back all of Parker's sales tax. We can, the 0.05% that is dedicated to Parks and Rec cannot be touched, so that will remain Parks and Rec. Over a 5-year lifespan, that's estimated to be about $293,000. There is a section of the sales tax that is eligible, the 2.5%. That goes to the general fund. Over 5 years, that's estimated to be $1.4 million. So what we are seeking is a sales tax rebate for 5 years for Chicken and Pickle. That would be 50% of the general fund sales tax, the 2.5%, at a maximum amount of $660,000. And I am happy to entertain any questions you have about the proposed TAP agreement.
Excellent. I will start to my right on questions for staff. Councilmember Rivero?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for public edification and even myself sometimes, this is a rebate stating
Correct.
that Chicken and Pickle will give us 100% of their remitted sales tax, and then we rebate them the 660 over 5 years, correct?
Correct, and that's done on a quarterly basis based on what they actually remit. So there is a scenario where 5 years has lapsed and they have not hit that $660,000. The time's run out. The opposite could occur. They could hit that much faster, and the dollar amount cap hits before the 5 years runs out.
then
Once
I'll-
that cap hits dollar amount, it's over as well.
But then also, more importantly, wouldn't you also say, maybe it's not the best concept in the world and it doesn't work out?
Then we're
The
not
town's
out any money that
out
they
a
have
dime.
not generated to the town.
Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
Yeah. So these incentives or rebates basically help to make it more economically feasible for developers to build where it might just otherwise just not be financially viable for them?
Sometimes that's the case. Generally, where they need it most is in that stabilization of a new business. It takes time for it to ramp up and be successful, and that's often where most businesses struggle, and it also aids with their ability to get better financing when there's a little bit of stabilization to help them out. This particular project does not have like any public improvements, roads that need to be built. It's already in an area where all that infrastructure is in.
Okay. And so the benefits then of the programs for a developer ultimately, obviously extend to our citizens since they're the people who voted for us. I just want to make sure it's clear they understand why we think that that's important.
It's bringing new sales tax to the town above and beyond what we would have today, as well as different employment opportunities.
All right, thanks.
Councilmember Hendricks?
And I would imagine in addition to that, can you go into the impact of this type of business coming to Parker, what that means for the citizens?
Generally, this is one of those unique businesses that we would call a regional draw, meaning it is going to draw people in from outside of Parker who are then spending sales tax dollars within Parker and going home. So there is a benefit to, besides jobs, besides increased sales tax, that we're drawing in more sales tax from outside of our community, and that's always a good thing to bring people into Parker to spend money.
And also, basically entertainment, like the pickleball's very
And
popular.
everybody
and-
loves pickleball.
Yeah, it's crazy. Thank you.
Councilmember Dyak
No questions. Mine were addressed in the presentation. Thank you.
and Councilmember Wilks.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Waldy. With that, we're going to open this up for public comment at 7:14. Anybody from the public wishing to make a comment on the tax and fee assistance program agreement? Seeing none, we're going to close it at 7:15 and close the public hearing at 7:15 and bring it back to council for debate. We're just going to go in reverse order. Councilmember Wilks, thoughts, comments?
No, I mean, I think it's fantastic. You know, if they do as well as we hope they do, and they do, it might not even take them the 5 years to reimburse us or reimburse this. So I think it's a win-win situation, and I'm excited to see what chicken and pickle is.
Councilmember Dyak.
Yeah, it's a unique new concept that is marrying up a bar type rooftop bar with something pretty special in pickleball. So I'm anxious to see how that goes. But consistent with our previous TAP agreements, this seems to fit right in. Thank you.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Yeah, I'm excited for everyone, just more entertainment options, so I'm in support.
Councilmember Barrington.
Yeah, I just think that it can, I'm looking at some of the notes I took. So this can basically stimulate economic development again, create jobs. It could also help even attract maybe other industries and different businesses than just chicken and pickles. Did I say that right? But I think another big one for me, of course, being in a real estate agent, as unpopular as this topic may be right now with the cry for affordable housing, I think that this can really help with our property values around just the area and in our town. And I mean, I think everybody that lives here appreciates that. But overall, I think that this is just a win-win for everyone in our town, so I definitely support it.
So, Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. I find that this application meets the 5 criteria, the applicable criteria. Criteria number 1, as you called out, criteria 2I, but I also recognize criteria 2J in the sense that what you talked about. This is a unique business. This is a regional draw for us, and I like to look at it as the indoor golf place where you go and hit golf balls like at the driving range, but yet it's a bar. I think this is the pickleball version of that. It's not going to be a lot of those around, and it's going to bring people from outside Parker. So I see this item 2J states bringing a value-added result to the town or a development within the town, and then meeting the last 2 criteria for sure. So I'm in favor of this.
Excellent. With that, I will entertain a motion on the tax and fee assistance program for chicken and pickle.
I move to approve the staff recommendation as part of the regular agenda.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Hendricks, seconded by Barrington. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
And Weldy and Kristen, your legal staff, thank you all very much for making this happen. I know it was a Herculean effort at the last minute, so thank you for getting us on tonight. All right, next up is ordinance number 1.575 on second reading. It's a bill for an ordinance to approve the right-of-way purchase and sale agreement by and between TMV Retail 2 Owners Association and the Town of Parker for a portion of private road, also known as Stage Run, located in 20 Mile Village, filing number 2, Second Amendment for the Dransfeld Road Widening Project. Mr. Ekstrom, how are you, sir?
Good.
Good.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. It's good to be back. So we're here to talk about ordinance 1.575. It's a right-of-way purchase and sale agreement that's related to the Dransfeld Road Widening Project. So a quick vicinity map here. This just shows the take area that's on Stage Run. There's a temporary construction easement, small, or actually the blue is the TCE, that's the larger area. And the yellow, if you can see it, That's the right-of-way that we're needing for the project. So some background. So in November 2022, council approved ordinance 1.570, authorizing staff to proceed with good faith negotiations for needed right-of-way and temporary construction easements necessary to construct Dransfield Road widening project. Right-of-way and easements are needed from 4 property owners along the project. And this ordinance addresses the acquisitions needed from TMV Retail 2 Owners Association for portions of Stage Run Road, which is privately owned road. There's approximately 379 square feet of right-of-way needed to accommodate new sidewalks and curb ramps, and approximately 1,917 square feet of temporary construction easement is needed to accommodate construction and to restore or reconstruct portions of Stage Run Road that is disrupted by construction. The total cost for this acquisition is $6,110, and funding has been appropriated in the 2023 Urban Renewal Projects Fund. An ordinance is required to approve this right-of-way purchase and sale agreement, and the project cannot proceed without its approval. So just a quick slide here of the easement geometry. The one on the left is the temporary construction easement. It shows the dimensions. One on the right is the right-of-way. Again, pretty small take areas. And in conclusion, staff recommends town council approve ordinance 1.575 on second reading. And I'll take any questions.
Great. We'll start to my left. Councilmember Dyak, any questions?
No questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Rivera?
Thank you, Mr. Ekstrom. Talk to me about how we find the value. How do we get to $6,110?
So we hired an appraiser. That's our standard practice. And it was Bill Bush was the appraiser on this. He submitted an appraisal report, which was presented to the property owner, and the owner accepted the offer.
And there's no special deals for governments. This is a fair market value appraisal of that property, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Councilmember Barrington?
So just to reiterate, the road will be made wider by adding 1 more lane for traffic,
Yes.
making it 5 lanes in total instead of 4.
Yep.
Specifically, a new lane will be added for southbound traffic going straight or to turn right.
Correct. A shared through right. The existing shared through that is there will be a dedicated through lane, so it will increase capacity and mobility.
Okay, thank you.
Great. And Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions, thank you.
Great. With that, we will open this up for public comment at 7:23. Anyone from the public wishing to make a comment on this? See none, we'll close it at 7:23 and revert it back to council for any last comments. Councilmember Hendricks?
Any chance to improve infrastructure, I approve. So, no questions or comments.
Councilmember Barrington?
Yeah, so the sidewalks and curb ramps along the wider section are going to be rebuilt, which will make it easier for people to walk.
Correct.
And it makes it more accessible, which follows the ADA guidelines, so it just makes sense. Thank you.
Councilmember Rivera?
No, I think anybody that drives down this section of road knows we have incredible stacking at all times of the day. There needs to be a relief somehow, some way, and I think this is an excellent way to handle that. Needed right turn lane, needed thorough straight through lane, so well designed, well done, and I appreciate your work in acquiring these properties.
Councilmember Dyak?
Yeah, I echo Councilman Rivero's comments. Officing there, I get throughout the year the experience of listening to traffic accidents that come, and feeling sorry for those people. And hopefully, with more capacity, it creates a better operation for them at this time. I'm supportive. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Wilkes?
Yeah, it's no secret that one of the biggest complaints we get is traffic, especially in the downtown area. So I'm excited about it, and you guys have done a great job. Thank you.
All right, council, with that, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 1.575.
I move to approve ordinance 1.575 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Barrington, seconded by Wilks. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
And that passes 5-0. Next up is contracts over $500,000. It is Hilltop Road, Canterbury Parkway Improvement, CIP 22-039. Come on down, Mr. Gill. Nope. Nope.
Green button.
Chris.
Nope.
Okay. Hear me now?
There you go.
Okay. So good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Tom Gill, project manager for the town, and I would like to share a short presentation on the Hilltop Road Canterbury Parkway project. Next slide, please. Okay, first, just a brief background on the area. The town's engineering staff noticed the increasing accident trend involving rear-end accidents on Hilltop near Legend High School. Contributing factors included its proximity to Legend and Cimarron, which causes high peak hour turning movements. Plus, there's a high percentage of inexperienced drivers that may be taking selfies rather than paying attention to traffic. Consequently, an intersection analysis was completed for the area, resulting in possible improvements to mitigate the trend. The design was completed in March by Kimley Horn. Next slide, please. As can be seen on the vicinity map, the improvements would include extending the westbound Hilltop acceleration lane coming off Canterbury and extending the eastbound Hilltop turn lane. And lastly, further to the east, the Hilltop eastbound turn lane at Legend would also be extended. Next slide. The town received 5 good bids, which were all somewhat close to engineer's estimate of $1.2 million. The lowest bidder was 53 Corporation at approximately $990,000, which was about 20% under the engineer's estimate. The actual construction is planned to occur during the summer school break, excuse me, to avoid traffic issues. Therefore, last slide, staff recommends awarding of the contract. Are there any questions?
Great. Thanks, sir. We'll start to my far right, Councilmember Rivera. Questions?
No questions.
All right, Councilmember Barrington.
Okay, so speaking of Herculean
efforts.
efforts. So the town publicly opened competitive bids April 13th of 23?
I think it was April 18th. I'm not
April 18th of
Okay.
23, but today's May 1st.
correct.
So I was wondering if that was a typo. This is
No,
a
that's-
government agency.
We moved quickly.
Great job. Thank you. That was my question. That's
You're welcome.
lightning fast.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Jimmy Johns.
I assume the construction would be completed before the new summer or fall schools.
Yeah, we put it in the special provisions that they had to get the work done between May 30th and August 4th, and it has a final completion date of August 20th.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Wilks.
So is this going to be shutting down any lanes of traffic besides the acceleration lanes during construction?
Traffic will be open all the time, and, be reduced, and they have to travel with caution, but they'll remain open.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, we're going to go ahead and open up for public comment at 7:29. If there's anyone from the public wishing to make comment on this. Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:29. Remand it back to council for any comments or debate, and we'll start in reverse order. Councilmember Wilks.
No, I think it's fantastic. I live right there, so I can tell you that yes, bigger acceleration lanes and more dedicated turn lanes is going to be a wonderful addition. So thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
Just a comment. I mean, I always enjoy seeing when our bids come in below the engineering estimate. I think that's a trend that hopefully continues.
Well, we got ideas for that money.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No comment.
Councilmember Barrington?
Having 4 Legend graduates, I understand the need for this, so I think it's great. Thank you.
And Councilman Rivera?
No, I'm 100% in favor. And I live in the area. I think that, what was warranted as far as the distance of our turn lanes and acceleration lanes due to the speed that's posted, it's not the speed that's coming out of the county westbound. They're coming down that hill at greater than 45 miles an hour. And thus trying to merge going westbound off of Canterbury southbound is always a challenge, especially for inexperienced drivers. So extending that acceleration lane is huge. And then obviously the left turn into Legend at either location. In the morning time, there's always a butt or two hanging out there. But again, those lanes, even at 45 to 49 miles an hour, decelerating, you almost have to start your brakes before you get into the deceleration lane, and that can cause a ripple effect or an accordion effect for those continuing into the county. So well done on improvements. I think this is an added bonus or benefit to our community. Thank you.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion on the Hilltop Road Canterbury Parkway Area Improvement Contract.
I move to approve the staff recommendation as part of the regular agenda.
Second.
Motion is made by Barrington, seconded by Dyak. Rivera?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilkes? And
Yes.
that passes 5-0. With no other business for Parker Town Council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion is made by Rivera, seconded by Hendricks. Rivera?
Aye.
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks? Dyak?
Yes.
Wilkes?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0, and we're adjourned at 7:31.